Tottenham Hotspur 2, Manchester United 0, and the same old story. I might as well be Bill Murray because it's Groundhog Day yet again, and we're talking about weeks of winter. I don't even know how Groundhog Day works. I don't particularly care how Groundhog Day works. What I care about is that Manchester United, yet again in the Premier League, cannot win a game against a top 6, top 7, top half team away from home because, again, it's the same old story every single time. And to those of you that were saying during preseason, and this isn't like a rah-rah, I was right or anything like that, but the signs were there. I remember I did the press conference on Friday and I said, I'm really concerned, I'm worried. I understand it's earlier on in the season, but I really think like our hope at the moment this season is Rasmus Højlund comes in and he's way better than we even imagined because he can score goals. Because yet again, it's paint by numbers away from home. And that's not as if to say in the totality of the game for 90 minutes, Man United were awful because they weren't for a full 90. They weren't for a full 90. First half, we were all right because that's how it always works. Most of the time, we're all right away from home for however many minutes. And guess what happens every time? We start the game well, we miss a handful of big chances, we allow the opposition to grow into the game, it eventually leads to them getting more and more of their fans behind them, and they get better and they get more dominant. It leads to United dropping off because the fitness levels, for whatever reason, aren't there. We end up getting dominated, and then we end up getting comfortably defeated. Every single time. It is paint by numbers stuff. It is so predictable in a weekend that's dominated by accusations of Lucas Paquetá and his maybe shady dealings when it comes to betting and gambling. Put a bet on United to lose away from home. It's easy every single time. It's very, very predictable. As far as individuals going through that performance and my thoughts on it, I mean, at one point in the game, I was baffled. I really was. And actually, you know what? Let's go through the game in chronological order because I think that's fair. Right. When it comes to the first half, United started brightly, actually. We had chances. Marcus Rashford should score. Takes it off Antony. Keeper makes a good save. He should maybe lift it over the keeper. Mason Mount actually started the game all right. But a bit like everyone else at United, just fell off a cliff completely. We then had Marcus Rashford miss a header. I think he'd probably be offside. But again, it proves the point that Marcus Rashford cannot play as a striker consistently. We then probably should have had a penalty. We should. But this is kind of what's wild about it too, with the penalty decision is when I'm watching the game, I'm furious. And look, it does change the game. If you get a penalty at 0-0, United probably score that. It could be a different game. But as the game went on, the handball and the penalty almost became a bit irrelevant, really, didn't it? Because we were that bad in the second half. Again, I look at the penalty and I say, I think it's handball. I understand the proximity is close. He makes himself actively bigger. His arm is just enough away from his body. And people I saw on Twitter would say, wow, you got away with what a VAR on Monday, so it balances itself out. It doesn't work like that. That just gives referees and VAR an excuse to get things wrong. But okay, I'm moving past that because, again, I don't even really want to look too much into it because I feel like that's an excuse. Bruno Fernandes misses from 6 yards. 6 yards. Luke Shaw cross into the box. Bruno, he's onside, heads it over. And then what happens? We get to halftime again and we're going, we played some good stuff. We played all right, but it's 0-0. And you have to take your chances. I don't know how many times I've done shows like this and said this sort of phrase, these phrases or this terminology. Good half, but it's 0-0. You have to take your chances. When you don't, your good play, your good build-up, it counts for nothing. And you put yourself under pressure because the other team is still in the game and they'll grow into the game. And that's what happened. Spurs go 1-0 up every single time, as I mentioned. Don't take our chances. Don't kill teams off. No idea what Garnacho and Luke Shaw are doing on the left-hand side. Kulusevski just walks down. Antony hits the post. But apart from that, again, I thought would have salvaged what was a really poor performance from him. Casemiro has a header. Good save by the keeper. Spurs then, they hit the post a couple of times too. They get their goal. They deserved it. It's an own goal. But again, they deserved it. A bit like how Wolves deserved to win on Monday. Spurs deserved to win today. Because in the second half, we were awful. We completely fell off a cliff. Mount in the second half vanished. Basuma absolutely dominated that midfield. And then we went back to Bruno Fernandes on the right. We had a situation, I tweeted it out. where I'm looking at the players we have in advanced positions, and almost all of them are in the wrong position. You've got Bruno Fernandes on the right, where he's as least effective as possible. You've got Marcus Rashford through the middle. I've said it a million times. He cannot play as a striker consistently. He can do a job. He can have good moments, but he just can't do it. He can't play with the ball with his back to goal. His first touch isn't good. His link-up play isn't there. He's most effective off the left-hand side. But Rashford's through the middle. Sancho's on the left, despite playing all of preseason through the middle. And I'm looking at this going, well, these pieces don't go into the right place. We're sort of shoehorning people into place at this point. And as I said, it's the same old story. And this is why I was worried. This is why I was worried in preseason. This is why I was worried when I did the press conference yesterday, was because I'm looking at this team. I'm going, where are the goals coming from? Away from home, it's just the same. It's the same. We need another striker in addition to Rasmus Højlund. We've always needed that. We desperately need another midfielder as well, because Casemiro is getting overrun. Mason Mount had, again, an all right first half, but second half, he completely vanished as well, fell completely off a cliff. And Antony was shocking too. But again, I can't sit here and say I'm really surprised by that because I'm not, because we've seen that. And I thought Ten Hag made the wrong decisions today. He took way too long to make the substitutions. By the time he brought on Pellistri and Martial, it was irrelevant because we were 2-0 down by that point, so it didn't matter. He put Bruno out on the right, which I feel like is his sort of panic mode to try and solidify the game, but it just nullifies us creatively as well. As I mentioned, when in these press conferences that I've done, when he says Rashford can play through the middle or support Højlund, he can't. He can do it for, again, 45 minutes, or we can do it to see games out, but not for a full season. And for me, at this point, our only hope is, as I mentioned, is that when Rasmus Højlund comes in, he's way better than we think he could be, and he scores goals. Because if we did have a striker, maybe in the first half, we killed that game off. But apart from that, I think it's going to be a long season. And I know you can't go too overboard. We lost our first 2 games last season. Technically, we're in a better position than we were at the beginning of last season. But also, after those first 2 games last season, we signed a couple more players. We signed Casemiro. We signed Antony. Do we think we're going to sign players between now and the end of the window? Maguire wasn't playing today. He was small injury. That's why he wasn't with the squad. McTominay wasn't brought on, which to me is a massive indication of I don't want you here. So he can go as well. So sell these players, be more brutal, figure it out, get players in. Otherwise, it's just going to be the same. We'll play Forest at home next week, probably win. We're good at home. But away from home, the next away game's against Arsenal. We'll get battered. Like, you can't even dress it. I know people say, it's a few weeks away, and a lot can change between now and then. Maybe Rasmus Højlund will be playing by that point. But if we play like that again, we'll get battered. Because if you even have half the chances we had today against Spurs, against Arsenal, and you miss them, you will be punished. Like, you will. And Arsenal will give you a chance, but you'll be punished. Like we were punished today. Like we're punished every single time we do this when we go away from home. And again, it's paint by numbers. It is way too predictable. Because again, you can say what I said before the game even starts. So there you go. As I mentioned, guys, the link is in the chat. It's not in the chat. It's in the community tab. Actually, I've done that wrong. It should be exclusive for members. Ignore it. Ignore it. I didn't do it properly. Oh, terrible. It's because I was so angry. Right. I'll do it again. Full-time view link. And that's going to members only. There you go. It's on the community tab. On the United View YouTube channel, on the YouTube page. So if you do want to call in, have your say, you can do so and get a lot off your chest. I feel like we need to. Before I do go to our first caller, let me go to some of the super chats we've got here. Avi says, seen enough. Erik Ten Hag, pick Mount or Bruno. That's it. Basically saying they both can't play. Jan says, second year, what's our style of play? I see nothing different on the pitch from Ollie's era. De Zerbi has done way more with way less than Erik Ten Hag, worrying Owen. Well, I did see a lot of people saying that. And to be honest, I do think it's a fair criticism. I saw Marcel saying, different system and all that kind of stuff. But to be honest with you, actually, again, I look at United today, again, it's the same. It is the same. George says the midfield got run through like some dirty gal, to quote Haley. Oh, I wonder what she thinks at the moment. Waiting for United to win the Prem says Ollie equals Ten Hag. Same hopeful moments football. And Ray Diaz says, is the number 7 shirt jinx? I hope not. I hope not. I was very much against Mason Mount getting it in the first place. I thought it was unnecessary for him to have it, honestly. But there you go. Let's get to our first caller. Let's go to Lux Hill. Lux, talk to me. Can you get any positives out of that? What are your thoughts?
First of all, you're right, bro. I haven't spoken to you in a minute.
I was better before the game kicked off.
Yeah, I agree. Same here. That game was disappointing, to say the least. I feel like I've said that a lot of times while speaking to you. Actually, it was really disappointing because, coming into the season, I felt like we might have had a chance to, show what we're really about. But the Wolves game and now this game has shown me that we're so far away from what is needed to consistently challenge for titles, challenge for top 4 and whatnot. So yeah, man, really disappointing.
What do you think it is? I mentioned about just the away from home thing in particular. Why do you think it is so predictable? Because it is. I mean, it's in the title, the same old story, but it really is, isn't it? It's every time. It's because across 90 minutes today, we weren't terrible. Second half, we were awful, absolutely awful. But first half, there's an argument to be made. We could be going in at halftime 2-0 up. So is it just as simple as if we have a goal scorer, maybe it gets a bit better, or are there more fundamental issues, you think?
I think it's a bit of both because we haven't seen Rasmus Højlund play yet. So we can't really say that, it's the fundamental issue without having everything in place. You know what I mean? Once everything is in place, and if we see the same stuff happen with everything in place, then clearly there's more fundamental issues in place. You get what I mean? So I'd say let's just wait out until Højlund is in, and then if we're seeing the same things, then clearly uncomfortable questions need to be asked, innit?
Yeah. What did you think of Antony today? I nearly even choked saying his name. Antony, what did you think of him today? Because look, he hit the post, but it's another one of those sort of frustrating games for him, isn't it?
You know what, bro? When it comes to Antony, I really want to give him chances and I really want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I'm really starting to tire at how he plays. I feel like he lacks discipline and I feel like he lacks that decision making gene that that certain players have.
Yeah.
I think he lacks that, and I guess it's something that will develop. But I don't know, man. With Erik ten Hag consistently picking him and, not giving others a chance like Pellistri, because Pellistri has shown time and time again why he deserves a chance. And I feel like if we don't give him more chances, or if Erik doesn't give him more chances, we might actually lose out on somebody who's actually a quality player.
No, I agree. I think, and I think I've said before about people like Pellistri is just, he's different than Antony. You know what I mean? He'll take a player on, he'll run with the ball. I mean, and again, I don't want to be over dramatic or melodramatic or anything like that, but at least with, like, for instance, when Ollie was in charge, it was very much just like, we're going to play on the counter-attack, but we're good on the counter-attack. And now, I mean, he'll say, like, Ten Hag will say, we want to be good in transition, but I don't see Antony being that player in transition. I don't think he could. Well, this is a frustrating thing. He can do it. He just doesn't do it. That's the annoying thing.
Because the amount of times he got that ball on his left foot today and just shot, and every time he misses, he does this thing that really annoys me. It's the whole squinting face. Oh, I'm sorry. And then, that one. And it really peeves me off every time he does it because he knows that that's one of his, what's the word I'm looking for? One of his
trademarks,
right? And it bothers me because clearly he knows that it's not always gonna pay off. So you need to do something, either pass to someone else or shoot with your right foot, which I
Yeah.
don't think he can do anyway at this point.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Yeah.
convinced his right foot doesn't work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, man. Antony, I'm starting to lose patience with him because I've seen a lot of people coming for him. I don't like criticizing players of a team that I love and support, but at some point you got to start asking questions, and obviously people are always going to come for the price tag, and like you always say, that he has no control over that. But sometimes I do think that it's kind of caused him a little bit of pressure, because having that kind of price tag on your head, it can't be easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, going forward, before I get to some more callers, do you think we get any more players in before the end of the window? Do you think we address any of the issues that we have, or is it not looking good?
Amrabat is definitely someone that I want, and I see people saying why him? Is he good? I think that having an extra body in the midfield is definitely going to be a positive for us. We've lost out on Fred. We're about to let go of Donny. Scott's probably on his way out. I don't know. It's like you say, it's a big domino effect thing, isn't it? But yeah, Amrabat, if we don't end up getting him, it's going to be really disappointing, because I don't like, in these last two games I've seen that our midfield clearly needs more bodies. You know what I mean? And if we don't get that, then it's going to look long for us, bro.
Yeah, I agree. Big up Lux Hill, as always, long time mod,
Appreciate it,
long time member. Appreciate you for calling in, as always. Let's go to All Elite, because it was far from that. It was far from elite. There's a lot of elite stuff going on in London over the next week. There's All Elite Wrestling at Wembley Stadium next week, but certainly we were not elite in London today, were we?
No, Owen, I'm really, really angry. I'm really angry, and I'm not angry because of the performance over the last two games that we've had. Our lack of ability up front, I've noticed it for such a long time. I know that we have as well. It's been well over a season now. I think we're stuck in like moments FC. We spoke about that as being the key thing with Ollie. That's because of Ollie's lack of ability. But sometimes players will come out and just do something that get us through the games. But that's what I'm continuing to see in our games at the moment. The entire front line cannot string more than two passes together. They're all individuals. They've got a lack of quality when it comes to the final third, lack of footballing IQ. Garnacho is a young boy. We really hope that he's going to be a superstar, but he's really inexperienced, and you can see that. Antony, God willing, this guy will turn out to be something, but he is frustrating me consistently. Nothing has changed since last season. He's inconsistent. And Marcus, I'm someone who doesn't think that Marcus is elite. I think he's a good player, but his decision making is poor as well. When it's not going for him, he's completely out of the game. That's your front three that are not good enough. And then, of course, you get Bruno, who's inconsistent sometimes himself. You've got four there. And don't get me wrong, Mason Mount looks a little bit, he looks like he's still trying to figure things out. Casemiro looks isolated. But the entire front line, honestly, is a distinct lack of elite quality up front. And they can't put anything together. There's no cohesion. I'm really concerned. I'm really, really concerned. It's not just two games. Honestly, I've been thinking about it for quite some time. I'm really worried.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think of Rashford? You spoke about him. What do you think of his reaction when he came off and he was sort of, slamming the thing on the bench? Do you think that's more just general frustration? Do you think it's more of a thing of him knowing, actually? I mean, he said it in interviews, didn't he? Of going, no, I don't like playing up front. I'm better off the left. But then again, I was thinking this when I was watching the game. I'm going, we don't have a striker.
No.
Again, no. We knew we needed one.
No, I think for me, Marcus is one of those players his head goes too easily. I've seen it for years now. When things aren't going his way, he struggles to really keep his head in the game and keep motivated and keep putting the team together. And of course, he's quite frustrated up there. I think United we've struggled to play with a centre forward for years. This isn't new. Centre forward that we've had have always really struggled to get good service. So it's really quite a tough role up there. But Marcus is a senior player now, especially when you look at that front three. He's one of the highest paid players in the team, or he is the highest paid. We should be expecting more. And it's that mentality, he points to his head when he scores. You've got to have that mentality when it's not going well as well. So he gets frustrated really easily, and I get it, but he's got to do better. When he picks up the ball, I think he's too eager to just kind of do something for himself. I know it's frustrating, but you've got to pull the team together. And I know he's frustrated, but I want better from him. I really do.
What did you make of Bruno today? Obviously, captain of the side now, misses. I mean, gilt edge chance in the first half, proper gilt edge chance. And then second half was ineffective. Ten Hag did the thing again when he moves him out to the right. Then obviously that didn't last very long because Pellistri came on. What did you think of Bruno today?
He's struggling. I am one of those people who, I get really frustrated with Bruno. I refuse to call him an elite player myself. I think he's a good player, but yeah, I need more from him. But what I am seeing is he's moaning less this season. I must say, he's got the captain's armband. I think he's trying to curb that a little bit, but he still gives the ball away a lot, And I think he needs a bit of it's that decision making. I was saying at the beginning of my moment there. I think it's just that decision making's got to be a bit better. That everyone looks frustrated. I think his head goes as well a lot of the time when things aren't going well. No one was good. So no, Bruno wasn't great either. As a Cass continuing to look isolated in that midfield. I really don't know what's going to happen going forward because obviously there's no money. We can't even string a few quid together to get Amrabat. But I think he's there for the taking 25. I'm shocked that Liverpool have come in for him. And I fear that someone's just going to step in and take him. I think Liverpool could probably just pull out that money anyway and get him. I've got a bad feeling that he'll get taken. Then after him, there's no one else really. And I know you've got other calls to go. I will say, I get these spidey senses sometimes with issues with the United team over the years, whether it's like certain players or whatever. Last week against Wolves was the first time. I'm not saying out and out just yet. This is the first time I'm a little bit concerned about the coaching. We've had Ten Hag have these players for well over a year now, and I'm still not seeing any cohesion up top. I'm still seeing him consistently putting Antony out on the right when we know he does the same thing over and over again. It's not great. I believe in Ten Hag still for sure, but I must say it's on my radar now. I'm a little bit concerned about the consistently playing the same players, especially like people like Antony, for example. Also that lack of cohesion. What are they doing on the pitch? You've not had a centre forward the whole summer. So we've known that Marcus was going to be probably centre forward. I know he played Jaden at false nine. But those front players, they've been known they're going to play for a while. Where's the gelling? Where's the cohesion? Where's the movement? It's just on my radar now. I'm going to keep a close eye on it. But we need better. Just need much, much better.
No, I agree. Big up All Elite for calling in. Long-time member of the channel. Appreciate you calling in as always. To be honest, I kind of agree with what you were saying there, whereby I was thinking during the game, I was thinking Ten Hag might have to pivot again. I mean, we saw what happened at the start of last season. He wanted to literally pick up how he was playing at Ajax, put it into a United team. He tried it for 2 games. He went, not doing that anymore. We're going to lose every game if we could do that. These players can't do it. And I think he had hoped that with an extra transfer window, a longer period of time with the players, that he would be able to do it now. And then you see it again today and you just go, I don't know. I mean, it's not as drastically bad as it was at the beginning of last season, whereby we just couldn't put passes together. But as Ollie was mentioning there, the cohesion, the missing chances, it's the same. That's what I said earlier on. Same old story. Al Caps with the super chat says Rash and Bruno should be sold expeditiously. Oh, look at that. Look at the big words by Al Caps. Appreciate that. Tremendous stuff. Let's go to Amanor. Amanor, talk to me about that. How are you feeling about the game?
Hi, Owen. Deflated, to be honest with you. Absolutely deflated.
Yes, you and me both.
No, I thought if we put the Wolves 1-0 score to one side and looked at the performance of the 2 games, we've been really poor actually. The 1-0 win was glossed over the fact that we were poor. Just got a couple of observations. We're not going to repeat what was said about All Elite before. But my main concern is that in the midfield, in the number 6 position, we're being overrun again. So we haven't got a proper 6 to support Casemiro, or we haven't got any midfielders who can dictate the tempo of the game, like Paul Scholes did back in the days. We don't have that, and because we don't have somebody who can control the tempo of the game in the midfield, we're losing out in developing our forward attack. So that's my main one. And my other concern is it's a bit controversial, what I'm about to say, but
Go ahead.
I love Bruno. I think Bruno being a captain is the right choice, but I think this could be a make or break season for Bruno as well. He's been given the captaincy, so he can't hide now. Effectively, he's been under a lot of scrutiny. His first half performance was decent. He should have scored that first goal, but afterwards he just plummeted his performance, and he'd just become not petulant, but just withdrawn from the game. He was becoming the old Bruno, whereby he was trying to do long ball passes, etc. And I thought he had eradicated that from his game, and I thought Ten Hag sort of coached that out of him. But it looks like that's coming back again. And
I agree. He starts forcing it, doesn't he? He starts trying because in the first half, I mean, he nearly it was Rashford's offside, I think, but that Rabona assist, it would have been incredible if that had counted. It would have been incredible. And he does stuff like that. You go, that's amazing. But I think you're right. He starts getting frustrated, and then he starts trying balls over the top, trying something too much, and you're just going, just keep it simple, keep your heads. Especially now that you're the captain, it's even more important, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And he's going to face the scrutiny because he can't blame anybody else. And the fans will be on his case if he starts feigning injuries or starts moaning, because not only the players will have a go at him because, say, you're the captain, the fan base will have a go at him as well. So you need to lead by example. And I'm not seeing enough of those leadership skills when things are not going well. That's my concern. The other obvious one is because we haven't got that midfield tempo and the rhythm sorted, that's definitely affecting our front three. I can't remember this season where the front three have done like triangles. So if you imagine if we were building an attack towards the opposition penalty area, we do little triangles to thread balls through, and then somebody builds up attack. So our attack seems to be moments rather than build-up play, really good build-up play. And when you compare that to Tottenham today, in the second half, their build-up play for some of their attacks was fantastic, and they've had their manager for a few weeks. So it is worrying like that. And going on to that, then the other thing I was going to mention, another semi-controversial point, but it's something that I saw on my radar, Eric Ten Hag's on-field decision-making. So I'll give you two examples which sort of worried me. One is Bruno being played on the right. We know that doesn't work.
Yeah.
He does it again and again. I don't know what he does, what he sees in training that convinces him that Bruno is perfect on the right in certain situations. I'm not convinced by that. And then another reason is that you've seen this, Owen, pre-season, he played Sancho as a false nine. And he did all right, Sancho as a false nine. I'm not saying he's a solution. But then season starts, he plays Rashford as a number 9. Why? I don't know.
No.
I don't know, Owen. And the last thing, because I know you got to take on other calls, few positives actually in the game, even though we'd lost. I thought Varane was superb again. He is elite.
Came close a couple of times, didn't he?
I know. He had 2 chances. Onana was really good. His passing, he almost set up a goal at one point, and Wan-Bissaka. So those 3 players, I thought 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, but everybody else was below 5.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Big up Aminor calling in, as always, long-time member and supporter of the channel. Appreciate you calling in, having your say. How many likes are we currently on at the moment? Let's have a look. We've got over 600 people watching, only 109 likes. Got to pump up those numbers. If you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right-hand corner. Where are we going to go to next? Let's go to... We've got so many here. Let's go to Haruki. I've seen you've been waiting ages. How are you doing, my friend?
Hey, what's up? I'm good. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Well, I was better, like I said, before the game kicked off. What did you make of today?
Bad. I think it was really bad. And to me, I just see problems at every level. Executives, players, and even now the coaching. And obviously the executives we know is a mess with the sale, the Greenwood, back and forth. I think the players, we have a big symptom of I remember in high school, I was friends with people on other teams, right? And I would talk to them about players on my team and be like, oh, he's so good. He can do this and this. And from the outside looking in, they're just like, that guy's shit. And I think we have a lot of those kind of guys where
he's really good in training. You just don't see it every day in training.
Yeah. We love them. But then you watch a different team and they just do things that our players don't do so easily that you question the quality, I think. And then, and then the most worrying thing is the coach, because I think when Ten Hag came in, had a lot of faith in him. But lately, a lot of that tactical stuff is over my head, to be honest. But I think the simplest rubric or whatever to judge a manager is can players do very simple things and create beautiful patterns with simple 2-touch, right? And that's the manager's job. Put them in an easy situation to hurt the opposition. And I just don't see that. And haven't seen that for a while.
You mentioned some of those players that, well, in training is really good. Is one of those people Antony? Would you say? I kind of felt like that was maybe where you could go in with that player, or was it someone else?
I think it goes beyond
could
Antony.
It be anyone?
I think it goes beyond Antony. I think Antony, everyone can see, is not as effective as a wide forward at United needs to be. But I think even people like I think as fans, we rate almost the entire team maybe a half notch above where they're at. I love Rashford. He's my favorite player by far. I think he's very good at a lot of things. I agree with the previous caller. I don't think he's that elite guy where another team, like what's elite is when another team knows what you're going to do, plans to stop you, and you still do it. And I don't think we have any of those type of players really.
Yeah, and even the ones that maybe we thought were going to be in that category, someone like, say, Lissandro Martinez, so far this season hasn't been there at the moment. Again, it's still early days. But how do you think Ten Hag rectifies it? Is it simple as bringing players in, or is it a case of it's just going to be a really long season and he's going to have to adjust?
I think it's going to be a long season, to be honest. I think first couple performances were so poor, and I don't know where it's coming from. I mean, it could be reactionary, but there's a world where, Rashford's a very good player who will have big seasons and not so big seasons, where Fernandes has peaked, where Casemiro is on the downhill slope, where Antony's never going to get there, where Højlund is a kid, Garnacho is a kid, Sancho is pretty soft to me mentally, and just how he plays the game. It's a bit, there's no edge. There's a world where all those things are true, and we're just 5th, 6th, hoping for a cup run kind of thing.
Well, fortunately, 5th might still get to the Champions League this season. There's more teams in it, of course. Just before we get to another call, is there any positive to take? Was there any players that you looked at today and you said, actually, you know what, we're in a good place with that player or that
Onana? Onana's the only one where it's so cool to have a goalie where not only are you not shitting yourself when he gets the ball, you almost want him to have the ball. He's yeah, but it's similar. It kind of reminds me of De Gea. It's different where De Gea used to be our best player by a mile, and it showed how bad the team was because he was having to make all these saves. And now it's Onana's also our best player by a mile, and it's with the ball at his feet. He's better. It's almost worse. I'd almost rather he be on the ball than our midfielders.
You know what? It's so true. It's so true. If you could actually have an Onana in a 10 or in the midfield somewhere like that. I mean, some of his passes today were incredible. And also as well, I think those people that doubted his shot stopping abilities, he made some good saves and big saves today as well. So no, I totally agree. Totally agree. Big up Haruki. Great call. Appreciate you calling in. Long time supporter as well of the channel. Where we're going to go to next. Let's have a look. Actually, let's go to the comments first before we go to another call. I want to make sure that people are involved here. Tank says Aaron Wan-Bissaka played well. LJ says I was agreeing with that call as well. G-Dad says we'll be lucky to get in the top 10 the way we're playing at the moment. The numbers says he's not playing McTominay because he doesn't fancy him. Kobe Mainoo is injured. Otherwise, Ten Hag was using him and Casemiro in pre-season. I do agree that I think if Kobe Mainoo was fit right now, I do think that he'd be playing games, and it would be interesting to see what that midfield lineup would look like, because he would give us more legs in that situation. But even that kind of says a lot about our sort of financial situation, isn't it? Not that I'm against bringing young players through, but a youth player that hasn't played a ton of first-team football for United gets injured, and our first reaction is, we're really going to miss him. That's a massive problem, isn't it? It is indeed. And Pyramid says, there you go. Facts, Onana improves our midfield. Again, I thought Onana was actually really, really good today. I thought his passing was great. I even messaged Cam during the game and said, you can tell the defenders having that moment where they're under pressure or there's no ball in front of them, that the ability to turn back and know that I can give the ball to this keeper under pressure, or I don't have to worry about him worrying about having the ball at his feet or anything like that, is such a relief to them. You can tell. And some of his passes, he did one to Wan-Bissaka, he did a switch to Garnacho. I think he was actually the bright spot for United today, certainly. Let's go to another call. Let's go to Lucas Chan. Lucas, talk to me.
Hello, Owen.
We spoke on Monday. It wasn't too great, but we said it's 3 points today. It's still not too great, and it's 0 points. Talk to me.
Well, I think it's just a bit of deja vu from last season. Just we had our chances, we missed them. It is what it is. We're not going to be a team that dominates the game for 90 minutes. We really did miss those chances, but I will say the balance in the midfield was a lot better compared to Wolves. We moved the ball a lot better from defense to midfield. I will say Antony did one good thing. He won the ball back a lot, but then he gave it back a lot. He
nullified himself.
He really needs to work on his final decision making. I honestly think Ten Hag needs to take him out of the firing lineup. What I really want to see next game against Forest is the front three we saw from last season's preseason: Martial, Rashford, Sancho.
We've barely seen them.
Like, I really think that might be something he needs to look at. Like, I thought this game, everything looked okay in the first half. The only thing that looked really off was just our wing play. Our wing play looked really off today. And it really questions me what we were doing preseason, playing Sancho in the false nine. Like, Rashford was, we might as well not even played Rashford. We might as well have played with 10 men this game. He was just non-existent, and I understand why he's frustrated. He couldn't get into the game, could barely get any touches, and I think it's just a bit of media overreaction. Him throwing the towel out, like any other player would throw their towel down.
No, I agree, and I think, like you said, it confuses me because at one point before he brought on Martial and Palestri, you had all of these players, like I said, in the positions that we don't want them in. You had Bruno on the right. We know that doesn't work. We had Rashford through the middle. We know that doesn't work. Sancho can play on the left, but to your point, all through preseason, he played as a false nine. So it kind of it was baffling, I thought. What did you think of that part?
I do agree. Like, he did the same thing with the Liverpool result. We lost 7-0 that one. He said, go out again, prove me wrong. We know what we did. We know what we need to do. And it looked like it was working well for a large part of the game. And then as soon as the first few missed passes happened, you just saw the heads drop instantly. And it is a mentality issue. And you really think, like, we just need to get over this mental block. I feel it's more of a mental block on the team now. But overall, I'm not as disappointed. I'm just glad we got to see a better performance than Monday night. Monday night was really bad.
I mean, I agree with you in the sense of I do think there's a mental thing as well, because for me personally, the moment we went 1-0 down, I went, we've lost, because you know we're not going to score. And sometimes when that happens, I think to myself, I go, if I'm thinking that, what must the players think when it comes to that? Because previously, and even at points under Ten Hag, I think back to sort of after the World Cup last year, sort of around December, January time, even if we went 1-0 down, we went 1-0 down to Barcelona at Old Trafford, and we were like, we're going to come back, no problem. And we did. Whereas now, particularly away from home, it does feel like, you're right, that you go 1-0 down, you go, well, it's over. And the players then suddenly they drop off as well. Or it gets to half time, and we've missed those key chances. The players kind of just get into this mindset of, oh, it's not our day, is it? It's not our day. And, like I said, the heads go down.
I think what really just made their heads go down even more was the VAR decision. The refereeing in the Premier League is god-awful. Like, how they need to at least come out and explain the decision and why they did not give it. As long as the ref says, we felt that his arm was in a natural position, at least then we can say, okay, the refs are blind. Just give us, they have to at least explain the decision. You see it in the NFL, you see it in the NHL, the top leagues in the world. They always explain the reffing decision. You may not agree with it, but why is it not it's such common sense now? Why? I don't understand it. Just me personally.
No, I don't. No, I don't either. I think you're right. I think that they should explain their decisions on the pitch. We've seen them trial that during the Women's World Cup. In addition to that, from the viewer's perspective, maybe they won't do this in the stadium. I know of other sports they do this in the stadium, but I think when they're checking VAR and we just see it come up on the screen that they're checking, why can't we hear that communication too? Why can't we hear the guy behind the screen going, "I'm just checking this now. I don't think his hand's too far away from his body. I don't think it's." Why can't we hear that? Because then, like you said, we can go, "Well, I disagree, but I understand why you've got to this point." But it's the unknown, and it's also my biggest frustration with it too is. It's just the inconsistency. Like I said, I mean, I saw a penalty being given for Luton against Brighton last weekend. That was never a penalty in a million years. And then that one today clearly gains the advantage. And like I said earlier on in the grand scheme of things, I'm not too frustrated with it. Would it have changed the game? Absolutely. You get a penalty earlier on, you could have gone 1-0 up. But we played so bad in the second half that it almost overshadows it a little bit, doesn't it?
I felt like it. It felt like last season when we were at Tottenham. We dominated in the first half, and then second half they came back. But yeah,
no, totally agree. A big up, Lucas. Appreciate you calling in as always. Long time support, and you, my friend. We got a couple of super chats here, I think, as well. Havish says, "Let me start with I'm Erik ten Hag in. He is setting himself up for failure with this transition football. Our players are just not it. Sancho needs to start." And to be fair, I have seen a lot of that after the game today. I've seen a lot of people criticizing Ten Hag, and again, this is social media nowadays, isn't it? It's if you criticize Ten Hag, you're Ten Hag out. Ten Hag's terrible. He's rubbish. No, you can say that Ten Hag got it wrong today. Ten Hag got it wrong. He did, particularly, and this is a point that people keep pointing out is he takes too long to do substitutions, and sometimes, like today, when he did make them, like I said, I thought some of the positions that the players in were bizarre, and I agree with people when they say that the insistence on playing certain players over others, and when I say that, I really do mean Antony, on the right, you go, you've got to go with something different. You've got to try something different because it's like Havish is sort of saying, you are going to set yourself up for failure in those instances. I do agree with that, at least partially as well. Let's go to, now last time we tried this and it didn't work out on the last show. Let's see, does Sean have a voice today? Let's try. Sean, can you hear me?
Can you hear me, Owen?
I can hear you, Sean. There we go.
Finally. One time
positive things happen. Yes, exactly. Talk to me about the game. What are your thoughts?
To be honest, mate, I'm on holiday at the moment, yeah? And it's like 1 in the morning out here. And I have to watch this, and it's very, very deflating, to be honest with you. It's just tactically, like, to be honest, I always look at it from a tactical perspective. You know that as a computer science major, I always look at it from a data analysis perspective. I always try to see what the reasons or the triggers behind every possible actions are. But today I couldn't, mate. I just don't understand what we're trying to do out here. And I love Erik.
You're fading in and out, Sean.
Hear me?
Just about. Try again.
All I'm saying is just the dual 8 system from Erik ten Hag is just not working at the moment. It's just not. And I'm on holiday at the time, and I should have been here, being very happy that we beat Tottenham. I mean, having grown up in North London, I have a disdain for Spurs to begin with. But the way we just let it go today, it's not even tactical. It was just we lacked the hunger, we lacked the spirit, we lacked the determination. And for me, that's unacceptable.
What did you think about individuals today? I mean, people were obviously going into the game were questioning Mason Mount, had a decent first half, but like everyone else fell off. What do you think of individuals? Which one stood out to you, positive or negative today?
In terms of the positives, I have to say Andre, Onana and Rafa definitely stood out. I think they were both very good today, especially Onana. I think he was very commanding. And look, I love David as much as the next man, but at the same time, I think we all have to agree that Onana is net positive for us. I think Rafa didn't do anything wrong throughout the whole game. He could have had a goal. Obviously, he was stopped by Vicario. But look, I don't want to I just don't want to put it on individuals at the moment. I know that we do, like after a game where we've lost the way that we did, it's very easy to point out individuals and say, yeah, Bruno didn't play well. Mount didn't. I thought Mount was good, actually. I thought Cass was getting overrun in the midfield. I thought Antony wasn't great. Garnacho, yeah, I mean, he had sparks, but again, not great. Rashi, he just can't play forward. I can't go into that, but I just feel like at the end of it all, I think Eric needs to have a good hard think as to what we are about, what our identity is. I mean, last season, obviously, the defense did save us. Let's be real now. If it weren't for the defense, we wouldn't have got to the place that we were. This time, well, against Wolves, the defense again saved us. But there are no combinations, do you know what I mean? Especially in the midfield and the attack. I can't see those transitions. I can't see those combinations that you'd expect from an Eric Ten Hag team. With just think about it. When Antony was there at Ajax, and when, I mean, it was like Antony and Neres on the other side, and it had Sebastian Aller down the middle, or even Huntelaar, there were still movements, there were still signs to be optimistic about. But in the first 2 games of the season, and look, I know it's reactionary, we've got 36 games left to go, understandable, but it can't possibly be acceptable to go to a game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I don't even want to say White Hart Lane, because I've actually been there, and it's just like, to go to Spurs and lose the way we did with them having a new manager. And I rate Postecoglou. I think he's a very good manager. I think he did very well with Celtic as well. But he's just had 2 games, mate. He's just had 2 competitive games, and I think at Brentford they showed promise, but they outplayed us. I just don't understand how a midfield of Casemiro, Mason Mount, and Bruno Fernandes can get overrun by Bissouma and Sarr. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable.
No, I agree. Second half, it was really apparent was that Bissouma, at one point, even Casemiro was down on the floor. He literally fell over as Bissouma went past him. Yeah. I thought, oh my goodness me. And no, you're right. I think it'd be one thing for us to lose today, but we got to tell you what, at points, we'll come out of it and go, no, there's stuff to be positive about. But I think it's more the fact that it's the same, isn't it? It's the same story. It's the same, like someone said earlier on, that basically, apart from us scoring 2 goals, which we did, we scored 2. We went to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in April. It's basically the same game, where it was play well in the first half, could maybe have more, and then second half drop off and they score goals. And again, I think that's the concern. Do you think there's any chance of transfers to resolve this, or is it going to be a long season?
Look, mate, to be honest with you, I do think Amrabat improves us, right? He's a ball carrier in midfield. He's going to take the ball. He's going to ride past the challenges, and he's going to bring it out of there. And I do respect Amrabat as a player, and I do think he's going to improve us. But if Amrabat was there today, I don't know whether it would make that much of a difference. I mean, look, it's very easy to point fingers at Mason and Bruno and say that, all right, they were the ones, they just didn't give Cass enough support. But at the same time, it's about the whole structure of the team. If you look at what Pep is trying to do with Man City, right, with the 3-2-4-1, where John Stones inverts alongside Rodri, and then you have a pivot, and then you have 2 10s, right, and then you have the 2 wingers who are out wide with Haaland as the central striker. Now, the problem is that we can't do that. We just can't, right? We don't have a figurehead up top. We don't have someone like John Stones who's got the physicality to invert and play in a double pivot. Even if Wan-Bissaka inverts, or even if Shaw inverts, they can't do that job. And even if they tried to do that, especially against Wolves, I remember Luke and Aaron being very, very narrow. They tried it today, but they couldn't, because, with Kulusevski and Son, you have 2 wingers who are very, very good on the ball, and they're going to try and make chances. And now, let's be real now, Spurs have not had a creator for almost half a decade, mate. Now they've got Maddison. Now they've got someone in the middle who can create chances, who can create something out of nothing. And we don't seem to have an answer for that. Now, if we don't have an answer for James Maddison, how are we going to have an answer for the bigger teams in the league? And I'm not disregarding Spurs. I do think they're going to have a positive season. But at the same time, it's just like, I can't see how Sofyan Amrabat, or even obviously Lavia is going away, but even if Sofyan Amrabat and Lavia would come in, you see the structure of the team, the tactical verticality, as you will. And people talk about the fact that Antony gives us verticality, because obviously he can go out wide and he can help out the defense. But this one-dimensional nature, and he's not Arjen Robben. it's just that it's very easy to figure these players out, and I don't think it's going to last in the long term. I'm really worried about the season. I want to be optimistic because obviously I was a vocal proponent of Erik ten Hag coming to managers, and I still back him. Of course I do. I mean, of course. But at the same time, I think there are real long, hard questions that need to be asked, not just of the team, but also for the manager. I mean, yeah, we can all do the blame game as much as we want, but at the end of the day, we're Man United supporters. We want the best for the club. And if this keeps on going, I mean, obviously, look, we might just win against Forest, but against Arsenal, we might be turned over. And that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree with you, Sean. Big up for calling in as always. And there you go. The mic works day. Excellent stuff, Sean. Big up to you. Where else are we in the chat? I think I'm caught with super chats. Let's see if we can get to another call. Let's go to Tabaslo. Tabaslo, how you doing? How you feeling after the game today?
Big up, Owen.
Big up, indeed. How you feeling?
Frustrated, to be honest. Very, very frustrated.
Yes, I think it pretty much sums up what everyone's feeling, isn't it? Definitely. When I've asked everyone how they're feeling, everyone's gone, well, which is the same thing. Exactly.
Yeah.
What do you make of the game?
We were good in the first half. We were good, but it got worse and worse afterwards. In the second, at least, we were not good at all. I think Erik ten Hag did make a lot of mistakes today. To not play Bruno at 10 and start with. I understand that he gives Mount chance, but I don't agree with playing him again. And it feels like last year when he played Maguire and gave him a chance to the first two games. So I think he's a bit stubborn. And
a lot of people have been saying that he's stubborn, particularly when it comes to substitutions as well, isn't it? You know, he can wait a long time, or people like Antony, or like you said, Mason Mount. Is he going to have to be able to be more willing to adapt? Do you think this season, particularly if no more signings come in?
That's what I'm thinking about, because last year also, when he tried Maguire and benched Varane, plenty of people disagree with that, and I'm one of them at least. And I think you have to do the same and think about the team and not try to force player to play them better. Because right now the team is not fluid at all, and we are struggling. And I think I was the founder of Erik ten Hag Out Club, but I was. That's true. But I think he is the only positive thing right now, and we have to support him. But man, he have to think about his decision and not force player to play like this, like Mount. You have to adapt and not like what is Bruno doing the right hand side.
What did you think about Bruno? Because I mean, how many times have we said it throughout pre-season or throughout last season? He doesn't work on the right. He doesn't work on the right. And I forget the last game that Bruno was on the right, but it felt like afterwards, even he had come to the conclusion of, I can't put him out on the right hand side. So to see him do that again, why do you think he did do that? Was he just, worried? Did he want to shore things up, or why do you think he did do that?
I honestly don't know. I don't understand it. That's so unlike a Dutch mentality also, because the Dutch mentality, at least when 4-3-3 mentality, we play the players where they are best at, where the main position. And this is so unlike the Dutch mentality also. I can't understand it. It's really difficult to understand. And he's great manager, because just if you fire him tomorrow, he will get a new job.
Yeah, at a big club.
So that's the whole point. He's a great manager. He is not the issue, and of course they start with the Glazers. That's the main topic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you look at the situation now. We start this season. Yes, we've signed a striker, but he's not playing at the moment because he's not available. And we still have the same issues that we had last season. It's staggering. And like you said, that starts from above, doesn't it?
It's 30 above, and the fee we are paying also, it's just ridiculous. That you see Antony, he's not worth those 85, and with now what is his name? Striker, Danish.
Oh, Højlund, yeah.
Højlund, yeah, Højlund. He also, the fee we paid for him. I mean, he's a promising striker, but I don't think that fee is will be justified. At least not the first few years. I have a question to you, and the chat and the UV community also.
Yes, go ahead.
Would you rather keep David De Gea and not sign the goalie and Onana and Mount, and rather use that money to get a striker?
It's a big question, isn't it? Because obviously, I think I watched the Harry Kane debut for Bayern Munich against Werder Bremen yesterday, and shocker, he was excellent. He was excellent. He got a goal and an assist. And you do think today, playing against his old side, had Harry Kane been in that side, we'd have definitely scored a goal. But at the same time, I just think he was unattainable this summer. I think Andre Onana, was our best player, to be honest, on the pitch, and I think that. And I understand your point, though. Certainly of getting. We need another striker. I've been saying, yeah.
And if you pay Amrabat is 30, so the 130, that's Victor Osimhen.
That's true.
so rather that or Onana and Mount. So for me it's a difficult question, but I think I rather would sign Victor Osimhen or something like that, because we need a second striker. You see today also what Martial do. We don't have strikers. That's it.
No, we don't.
Crazy.
We don't. And
it's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. It really is. And I think in particular, when you look at what we achieved last season, and finishing third, Carabao Cup winners, FA Cup final, the fact that we did that without a striker is all the more impressive when you really think about it. So no, I totally agree. I totally agree. Big up Tabislav calling, long-time supporter, long-time moderator, long-time member. Big up Tabislav. I'm sure the UV community in the chat will show him love as always. Where are we when it comes to likes at the moment? Let's take a closer look. What are we ending on? We still got over 500 people watching, less than 200 likes. So if you haven't already, click the like button. I do believe there was a super chat that I missed at the moment, or there might have been. There was one. There you go. From LJ says, we bought Onana too early. The team ain't ready. Well, like I said, I actually messaged Cam during the game. I messaged him and I said, Andre Onana, yeah, he is top quality. There's no doubt about that. He is quality. Good shot stopper as well, but his passing I thought was brilliant. But I can understand your point with that one in terms of those passes are great. Those passes are great to Wan-Bissaka or switching it to Garnacho, but it's frustrating because they don't come to anything. But he's going to be crucial. But we still need more players. And I was talking to Flex about this the other day, and it is true that still, though, it's not as if we Ten Hag hasn't spent money. You'd look at the spend that we have done over the last 2 seasons. And I understand there's a lot of dead wood and all that kind of stuff. And we still do need more. And you think, imagine Manchester United actually had owners that would invest money into us. We'd be untouchable. But it feels strange, isn't it? It feels strange that we have spent money across 2 seasons and we still feel so far off. And particularly as some people are pointing out, they're saying, well, actually, maybe some of the players we got this summer, maybe they don't fit, or maybe some of the players we got last summer, maybe they're not the best in class of what we could have, and what we maybe should have been getting. Maybe that's going to come back to bite us. I don't know. I think it's going to be really interesting moving forward, certainly. But there you go, guys. Appreciate everyone that's tuned in. Appreciate everyone that's called in. Apologies if I haven't got to your call today. I think that's probably a record in terms of the amount of callers we had. So I'll make sure to get to you guys next time. Appreciate talking to all of you. Appreciate everyone that's, as I mentioned, smash the like on the like button, subscribe button right-hand corner. If you want to call in on a future full-time view, you can become a member. Links in the video description. Get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive exclusive members-only content as well, and the ability to call in to the full-time view. We'll be back next weekend for the fallout of Forest at Old Trafford. And then a week after that, we've got Arsenal. God. Super chat from George on the way out says, would you rather keep De Gea? It's very depressing. Cut him off. He's gone. He's gone, George. Your super chat's too late, but I appreciate your contribution. Anyway, guys, try and have a good weekend, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Peace.